Albert Einstein's life after the age of 40 was a period of immense personal and scientific evolution. By 1919, Einstein was already a renowned physicist, with his general theory of relativity having been confirmed through astronomical observations of a solar eclipse. This breakthrough established him as one of the foremost intellectual figures of the 20th century. Yet, the years that followed his 40th birthday in 1919 were not only about his scientific triumphs, but also about the personal challenges, political commitments, and philosophical inquiries that came to define the latter half of his life. In 1921, 2 years after turning 40, Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics, not for his general theory of relativity, but for his earlier work on the photoelectric effect, which was pivotal in the development of quantum theory. This decision by the Nobel Committee reflected the more conservative scientific community's hesitation to fully embrace the groundbreaking nature of relativity at the time. Nevertheless, the award solidified his status as an international scientific icon. Einstein used his newfound fame to promote both scientific and humanitarian causes. His travels took him across the globe, from the United States to Asia, where he delivered lectures and participated in intellectual discussions. His journey to Japan in 1922 was particularly significant. While aboard a ship to Tokyo, Einstein received news of his Nobel Prize, further enhancing his global stature. During these travels, Einstein began to delve deeper into social and political issues. He was a passionate advocate for pacifism, especially in the aftermath of World War I, and became increasingly involved in Zionist movements, advocating for a Jewish homeland in Palestine. Although he maintained a vision of a cultural rather than a political Zionism, the 1920s and early 1930 South were periods of intense scientific activity for Einstein. He continued his work on the unification of physics, striving to create a theory that would unite general relativity with electromagnetism. This ambition, often referred to as the search for a unified field theory, became an obsession for Einstein in the latter part of his life. Although he never succeeded in this endeavor, it marked a significant part of his scientific legacy. At the same time, Einstein faced growing challenges in his personal life. His marriage to his first wife, Mileva Maric, had ended in divorce in 1919, and he remarried that same year, this time to his cousin Else Wenthal. While his second marriage provided some stability, his relationship with his two sons, Hans Albert and Edward, remained strained. Hans Albert emigrated to the United States, becoming an engineer, while Edward suffered from schizophrenia, leading to periods of institutionalization that deeply troubled Einstein. Einstein also found himself increasingly at odds with developments in physics, particularly the rise of quantum mechanics. Although he had played a key role in the development of quantum theory, Einstein was uncomfortable with its implications, particularly its reliance on probability and indeterminism. His famous quote, "God does not play dice with the universe," encapsulated his skepticism about the randomness inherent in quantum mechanics. This philosophical opposition placed him in direct conflict with some of the leading physicists of the time, including Niels Bohr, with whom he engaged in a series of debates that would shape the future of physics. The rise of Nazism and Einstein's exile. 1933 to 1940. In 1933, the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime in Germany had a profound impact on Einstein's life. As a prominent Jewish intellectual and outspoken critic of nationalism and militarism, Einstein was a natural target for the Nazis. His works were denounced, and his home was raided. Recognizing the danger, Einstein renounced his German citizenship and fled Europe. He initially sought refuge in Britain and Belgium, before accepting a position at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey, where he would spend the remainder of his life. Einstein's move to the United States marked a significant shift in both his personal and professional life. While he continued his work on theoretical physics, his attention increasingly turned to political and humanitarian concerns. He became a vocal critic of fascism and an advocate for civil rights, speaking out against the persecution of Jews and the rise of totalitarian regimes in Europe. He also became an outspoken supporter of the Zionist movement, advocating for the establishment of a Jewish state. although he remained committed to the idea of peaceful coexistence between Jews and Arabs. During this period, Einstein's views on pacifism underwent a significant transformation. While he had long been an advocate of nonviolence, the rise of Hitler and the outbreak of World War II led him to reconsider his stance. In 1939, Einstein famously co-signed a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning that Germany might be working on developing an atomic bomb. This letter, which was also signed by physicist Leo Szilard, helped spur the US government to initiate the Manhattan Project, which would ultimately lead to the development of nuclear weapons. Einstein's involvement in the letter was one of the few instances where he actively engaged in political action during the war. Although he was not directly involved in the development of the bomb, he later expressed deep regret for his role in alerting the US government to the possibility of atomic weapons. After the war, he became an outspoken advocate for nuclear disarmament and global peace, warning of the dangers posed by the proliferation of nuclear weapons. After the war, Einstein's focus shifted increasingly towards social, political, and philosophical issues. Although he continued to work on scientific problems, his quest for a unified field theory consumed much of his scientific energy, but he remained isolated from the broader physics community, which had largely moved on to quantum mechanics and other emerging fields. Einstein became a prominent public figure in the United States, advocating for civil rights, opposing racism, and speaking out against the persecution of individuals during the Red Scare. He formed a close relationship with the civil rights leader W.E.B. Du Bois and publicly supported the campaign for equal rights for African Americans. Einstein saw the fight against racism in the US as akin to the battle against anti-Semitism in Europe and believed that scientific and intellectual progress could only be achieved in a society free from discrimination. In 1952, Einstein was offered the presidency of Israel, a largely ceremonial position, after the death of Israel's first president, Chaim Weizmann. Einstein, however, declined the offer, stating that he was not suited for a political role. He continued to support the establishment of Israel, but remained committed to his vision of a peaceful coexistence between Jews and Arabs. Throughout the 1940s and 1950s, Einstein's views on political and social issues became more pronounced. He was an advocate for socialism and expressed skepticism about capitalism's ability to promote equality and justice. In his 1949 essay Why Socialism?, Einstein argued that economic inequality and the concentration of power in the hands of a few individuals were incompatible with true democracy. He believed that a planned economy, combined with a system of political freedoms, could help overcome these challenges. Einstein also became increasingly involved in the global peace movement, particularly in the context of nuclear disarmament. He was a founding member of the Emergency Committee of Atomic Scientists, an organization dedicated to promoting nuclear disarmament and the peaceful use of atomic energy. He continued to speak out against the development of nuclear weapons and the arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union, warning that the future of humanity depended on finding ways to achieve peaceful coexistence. Despite his political activism, Einstein remained dedicated to scientific inquiry until the end of his life. He continued to work on theoretical problems in physics, although his efforts to develop a unified field theory remained unsuccessful. He also maintained an active correspondence with other scientists and intellectuals, discussing a wide range of topics, from physics and philosophy to politics and religion. In 1955, at the age of 76, Einstein's health began to deteriorate. He suffered from an abdominal aortic aneurysm, and despite undergoing surgery, his condition worsened. On April 18, 1955, Einstein passed away in Princeton, New Jersey. His death marked the end of an era in science, but his legacy continued to shape the world in profound ways. Legacy and impact. Einstein's contributions to science, particularly his theories of relativity and quantum mechanics, revolutionized our understanding of the universe. His work laid the foundation for many of the technological advances of the 20th century. From nuclear energy to space exploration, his philosophical inquiries into the nature of reality, time, and space continue to influence physicists and philosophers alike. Beyond his scientific achievements, Einstein's life was marked by a deep commitment to social justice, peace, and human rights. He used his platform as a public figure to advocate for causes he believed in, from nuclear disarmament to civil rights. And his moral and ethical stance on these issues left a lasting impact on global discourse. In the years following his death, Einstein became a symbol of intellectual brilliance and humanitarian values. His name became synonymous with genius, and his image, wild hair and piercing eyes, became an iconic representation of the power of human curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge.